Today, in the kitchen of Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme, we are going to prepare some blue cheeseburgers with brown sugar bacon. Also, we're going to prepare the rolls. And we are going to do a little bit of weekly planning. So, what's cooking in your kitchen? Today in the kitchen, we are going to cook something wonderful, do a little bit of planning and talking, and we're just going to have an in general love fest with each other, just having a good time and keeping each other lifted up. So, if you're interested in what's going to go on in the kitchen today, stay tuned. In these yeast rolls, we are going to add in a cup and a half of milk, and we're going to add in some butter. So there's our cup and a half of milk. We're going to add in 3/4 of a stick of butter and make sure that it's melting. That's about 5 tablespoons. So we're going to put that in as well. Make sure that you get a spatula and make sure you get all of it because you're going to want to do that. So we're just going to turn on the mixer. And let that go. And that can go quite a while. So you can kind of walk away from it should you need to do something else. It's okay. So we're also going to add in to this mixture, because the milk is warm, we're going to add in some sugar. We're going to put in a teaspoon of sugar. We're going to add in a package of quick rise yeast, or if you have just regular saf, which is what I have, it's also quick rise. You'll see it stuck in the bottom of my bowl. I put in about 2.5 teaspoons of yeast. Now I actually had to go back because I had to kind of dig the yeast out of this cup, and so I had to go back and put in about 1/2 teaspoon more into the mixture. So we have our cup and a half of milk, we have our sugar, because the sugar is going to help to get that yeast going, and you can see I'm over there with the knife kind of scrubbing to get that yeast out of that cup, but without help. So you'll see I'm going to have to put in that additional yeast. So sugar, yeast, milk, butter, ready to go. All right, so we're letting that go and letting everybody get mixed up. Then we're going to add in 1 egg yolk. 1 egg yolk. This is the easiest recipe. You just let the KitchenAid do the work and you get all of the benefits. I love it. So we've got our yolk. I'm kind of making sure that I don't have any of the white. And then we're going to drop that into our bowl. Just checking there, girls. There we go. Got it in. Okay. So we need flour. Now we're going to put in about 2 cups of flour to begin with. So I'm using my measuring spoon, and that's actually a 1/2 cup measure. Isn't that kind of cool? It's a 1/2 cup exactly. So I use it very often because it's just easy to work with in getting the flour in. So I'm letting that come together as it's mixing. Notice I'm using the paddle, not the dough hook yet. So we're just getting half of that flour in. Now, I had already measured my 2 cups out, so I'm just going to kind of shake that in. There we go. I wanted to get some of it down so we wouldn't have so much of it all over the kitchen. So I'm going to let this go and bring you in a little closer so you can see that it's going to come together. It's going to be very wet. And then we'll start to add more flour. Now we're probably looking at close to about 4 cups of flour before we're finished. but I'm turning this up because I want this to mix well. And then we're going to switch over to the dough hook. So let's let that go for about 2 to 3 minutes. There we go. Now in the rest of the flour, when I put it in, the salt is going to be in, and I could have put the salt in a little earlier, but you know, sometimes salt will affect the operation of the yeast. So I'm just going to shake this cup of flour in gently. And the reason I'm not just dumping it in is because of the fact that we may not need that last full cup of flour. It may be that we may only need about 3.5. So you have to be careful. You don't just go and just dump it all in there, because then you'll have a very cakey, floury looking roll. So we want a roll that's going to be light and fluffy. So I'm giving it a chance to come together. Notice I've turned the speed down, but we still have the paddle. Now, I'm going to stop it, and I'm going to switch the paddle out and put in the dough hook, because we've gotten it sticky enough that we can work with it. There we go. So I'm trying to get as much of that dough off as I can. And here's our dough hook. So we're going to get it on. And this is going to come together so quickly. Now you know we have to keep this going until all of the flour of the dough comes together and actually pulls away everything from the sides of the bowl. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to kick it up for just a moment to let that go. And I can see just by looking at it that we're going to need a little more flour. Now I'm going to stop it a minute and use my spatula and just kind of push everything down off the sides. The reason being that I want to make sure, you know, the paddle has a tendency to push things onto the side, whereas the dough hook is going to try to pull it off. And that's what we want it to do. So I'm going to add a little more flour. And I'm having to turn it down because it started to throw out flour. So we're going to give this a minute. You know, sometimes you put a little flour in and give it about 3 minutes, or at least 3 or 4 seconds or so that it can start to pull that flour in. So you add in just a little tap, tap, tap of flour and see what it does, because very often the recipe gives you an average amount of flour, but depending upon what your altitude is, where you're located, the amount of flour will differ. So let's see how this is going to come together. You can see it's starting to make that ball, that dough ball. So I'm just going to walk away from it for a minute, not look at it, and see if we can, because I get very impatient. And you know, bread making really isn't a situation to be impatient with. So I'm adding in just a little more. We're still working on that 3rd cup. We haven't gotten all of the 3rd cup in. All right. When you see me turn it up, you know the impatience has taken over. So now I'm going to start to add flour by the teaspoon, because I can see that the ball is coming in, but it's not quite pulling the entire ball of dough up. So I'm just going to add a little flour, and what that does, it gives it a little bit of something to grip onto. So I'm letting it, and you'll start to see that the sides of the bowl will start to clean up a little bit. Put in another one, and you just wait. Now, believe it or not, I actually shortened this because I figured that you need to see what's going to happen, but some of the mixing you may not want to be patient enough to see. You may be like me. All right, we're going to add a little more. And I'm just going to, that's cup number 4, so I'm just going to sit that there and see how it does. You know, some days, depending upon the temperature, the humidity, sometimes I need more flour, and sometimes I need less. It's just about moisture. All right, so I'm just going to empty that one in and see what it does. A little more. See that ball? Oh, that's what we want. There it is. There it is. It's moving around. So we're going to stop it, and we're going to take it off, and we're going to do some kneading out on our surface. So just watch. Okay, we got it over to the table. We're going to take the dough hook out, but we're not going to take it far because we're going to put it back on the mixer. So I'm going to just sprinkle a tad bit of flour on the surface. Not a lot, just a little. I'm just using my sifter to do that. And I'm going to go get my bench scraper, my Dollar Tree bench scraper. And I'm going to take the dough out because it is a sticky dough. There we go. And just get a little bit that may have stuck in the bottom. That's okay. That's pretty good. All right, now we're ready to do some kneading, and it feels so good at this point. You're going for the field when it's finally finished to feel like a baby's bottom. You want it soft and cushiony, and that's what we're looking for. So we're just going to knead a little bit and give it a chance to come together. And then after we knead, we're going to give it a 5-minute rest. So we're folding, and you see I push and fold and push and fold. Push, fold, and turn. You have to remember that turn because we want to be able to get all of it so that we have a nice dough ball. So there we go. He's all together. So I am going to get some wax paper, and I'm going to lay it over it and walk away 5 minutes. 5 minutes. And let it rest. Then what we're going to do, we're going to put it back in the bowl. So here we go. We're going to put it back in the bowl and put it back on the mixer. And we're going to knead it. Oh, look at how nice that dough looks. I'm just going to do it one more time just because it just feels good working with dough. I don't know if when you were little, you liked Play-Doh. I did. And that's what this kind of feels like. A really nice batch. So we're going to put that in and we're going to put it on the mixer. And we're going to knead it on the mixer for 8 minutes. So I'm putting in the cook time and I'm starting. 8 minutes. Now look at what it's doing. It's moving around. In this 9 by 13 inch pan, I am going to brush some butter and on the bottom only. On the bottom only. We're going to slather that bottom with butter. And the only reason you want to be very careful and not get it on the sides of the pan is because of the fact that if you do, then your rolls are not going to rise very well. And they're going to, because they're kind of slippery, they need some texture on the side. So remember, butter on the bottom. Do not put butter on the side when you do this. Now, so we're going to, you can see that we've gotten the rolls rolled out and into the pan. I kind of cut the time a little short so that you can see the rest of it. This is just before they go into the oven. And I'm being very careful taking this top off. I had it in the microwave, not with the microwave on, but just in a sealed environment so that it could rise those rolls and stay nice and warm. So they are ready to go into a 350 oven for about 20 to 25 to 30 minutes. So I'll see you later. All right, guys, let's look at this week's menu plan. Tomorrow, the plan is to have a ramen chicken salad. And I think that's going to be something nice and quick. It's going to be cool and easy to have. We've got hot rolls that will go along with it. Or if the big guy wants crackers, we've got those too. Our maple baked pork chops, I may actually put those off to Thursday, only because we have on Sunday, the plan is to have pork chops with a mushroom onion sauce. So I may change these maple pork chops to something else, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Wednesday, the plan is for a big salad. It's going to have everything. We're talking lettuce, spinach, nuts, tomatoes, cucumbers, green peppers, avocado, edamame, you name it, it's going to be in there. Now, Thursday is typically our LO night, and that means leftovers. But we may not have leftovers, so we'll see how that goes. We may have to throw something else in. Friday is going to become our official Friday fish night. So we're going to fry up some fish, have some French fries maybe, or a baked potato, or maybe even some corn if I can find some really good corn. And then Saturday, I'm going to fix spaghetti a la Dooley. Spaghetti a la Dooley. That's spaghetti my way. And then for Sunday is where, this is actually this Sunday today, and at our soul food, I kind of flipped it around on you. But anyway, we're having pork chops with our mushroom onion sauce. And that's the reason why I'll probably change this pork and maple baked pork chops to something else. We'll see what that'll be. I just haven't decided what that option might be. But we'll do something. It may even be Chinese. Who knows? But we'll see. Now, if you look at our grocery list compared to last week, remember I did the major shopping already. I already really did most of my shopping for June. Now, what I did do for this week is that I have a delivery order that's going to come and bring the produce. I needed some more ramen noodles. I needed more buttermilk and some sliced cheese. Big guy needed more V8 juice, cranberry juice, and of course we need catfish, and we needed a few more soft drinks. So that's a quick and easy list. So they're going to actually deliver everything except the catfish and shrimp. So we'll have to go pick that up. So in the meantime, like I said, don't throw away your weekly list of what you're doing. Even if you haven't gotten to the point that you can do a couple of days out. You know, you don't have to do a whole week out. You can do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Know what you're going to do for those 3 days and shop. Then do Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Know what you're going to do and do the shopping. Just keep it all right here. And then later in the month, as we get about halfway through the month, I'm going to show you what we're going to do, and you're going to go, oh, wow, that works perfectly, and you'll have something to look at and to set up for next month. So we're turning over, looking at a blank page, but I'm thinking every day about what the possibilities are for a new menu. So always have some kind of plan. We are about to prepare the best brown sugar bacon ever. No chemicals, is going to be made by you. So let's take a look at what we're doing. We have in this nice hot pan, we have some sizzling bacon that we're going to be using. There's the brown sugar and there's the pepper. And I'm going to take a spoonful by spoonful and sprinkle on each piece of bacon the brown sugar. And I'm not going to be, I am going to put brown sugar on this bacon because I want that flavor to stay out. So notice I'm taking the back of the spoon and I'm spreading the brown sugar all over this bacon. It's going to get cooked in it. I'm also going to add some pepper. That's just going to give it a little umami, a little extra kick. And so that, you know, you've got to balance the sweet with a little bit of pepper. We're going to place that bacon in the oven. It's in a pan that's been lined. And there we go. I've really moved you quickly because we want to get to the burgers. The burgers have been cooked. I only need 4. So we are going to take those burgers over, take out our pan and our bacon ready, and we're going to assemble the hamburgers on the buns that we made. Now notice, my buns are a little square. That's because I had so many in the pan. And that's okay. We don't care what shape they are as long as they're good. So I'm going to lay on some lettuce. My mouth is watering because I really do want to grab some of that bacon and just eat it while we're working on the hamburgers, but I'm showing a little bit of restraint. We're going to have some lettuce on those burgers. Mine has more lettuce than the big guy, but we've got lettuce. We also need onions. We're going to be putting the onions on there. There goes the hamburgers. Notice I didn't make gigantic hamburgers because I knew my buns weren't that big. So now we come to the best part. Breaking the bacon and putting it on each burger. I wish you could smell this because it is so good. And it's ooey and gooey and sticky. Oh, goodness gracious. Now, let's put on some onions, and I'm using vidalias tonight because it's that time of the year. Love those vidalias. And here we go. It's time to sprinkle on some blue cheese. Now I'm telling you, blue cheese. Some people like it, some people don't. So if you like it, then it's for you. But if you don't, use whatever kind of cheese you like. But we like blue cheese. I'm going to put some blue cheese on top of the onion and then place the top on top of that. Because This blue cheese is salty because I haven't added, I didn't add any salt to the bacon. It has its own flavors. And then we need some tomatoes. So I'm going to put a few slices of tomatoes and put that right on there. And I'm kind of pressing down as I do that so that I can put the top to my burger. There's the first one. And I'm going to get some more tomatoes and prepare that second burger. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Push, push, push. And there we go. Oh, that is going to be wonderful. Now, that's the big guys. So he's got what he wants. I'm putting on some of that macaroni salad that we made the other night. Homemade macaroni salad. And our plate. We've got our homemade burgers, we've got our macaroni salad, and we are good to go, guys. Now, let's get to Mama's plate. So, for me, I've got our little burgers. They're not mini burgers, they're a little bigger than that. But I've got the bacon, and we're going to do the exact same thing. Put our bacon on, one piece per burger. Okay, I broke down, finally got a piece. So there we go. Let's put some Vidalias on. And you are going to want that nice Vidalia oniony flavor. It's just summer. It screams summer. So let's add our blue cheese. And blue cheese, like I said, is a little sharp. It's a little, or I call it sharp, but it's a little salty, and it has its own unique flavor. We're going to add some lettuce. Since I didn't put it on the bottom, I'm going to put it on the top. I thought I'd try it another way, just to hold everything on. That way I can just press down very easily and keep everything where it's supposed to be. And now it's time for the tomatoes, so I'm just putting the tops on, getting things back, because there is nothing dirty at this point. Everything's been cleaned up other than what you're looking at. And so I'm making sure I have everything ready. So I'm going to put the tops on the hamburgers. There we go. Scoot it over, add some macaroni salad, and Mama's plate, me, is ready for dinner. There we go. That's delicious. Now, I hope you have had a wonderful time in the kitchen, and I hope that you will continue to be a part of the Ebony, Ivy, and Thyme family. I have certainly enjoyed your presence.